into a for-profit business, and now is growing and getting contracts from other outside of the anti-poverty world. And so we've got a potential to produce those kinds of private businesses, those small businesses, which is where the bulk of the jobs in this economy come.
Right. So I think I've asked you before for names of who can weatherize my home, so maybe I'll get that Mansfield contact from you. So as happy as I am to get emails from Dave that talk about who he's hired, you know, as I think he pointed out in terms of talking about that career ladder, I'm happier when the jobs pay more, because I think one of the biggest problems in the last generation in our economy has been jobs just not providing a wage that enables people to meet their needs. And I think it's really hurt this region. So Courtney, you know, did Carl and Dave leave any jobs out? And what's the college doing to sort of bring people out of poverty and up into middle-class occupations?
One way to respond is there's a lot of conversation thus far about jobs in renewable energy generation and energy efficiency. But if you think about opportunities in other sectors, you can also get a feel for the other kinds of jobs that might be available. In this region, there's a tremendous amount of energy and investment in urban agriculture. There will be jobs emerging from those efforts. Ecosystem services, whether it's water or air quality, there will be jobs in that arena. Waste reduction and reuse is a huge opportunity, not only for business formation and entrepreneurial startups, but also for the employees in various positions within companies like that. And I'll use one as an example that some in this room are familiar with. There is a gentleman who is one of the leading advocates for the deconstruction industry. His name is Chris Caius. He's literally at a meeting now talking to the city about which houses he will be deconstructing in the region using the workers that will come out of our Pathways program. And he is building a whole business based on this idea of repurposing materials from the homes that are being abandoned and foreclosed upon. And he is an inspiring guy, but really sees a big picture about all the ways in which, as this scales up, he can spawn new businesses, create not only jobs, but also opportunities for social enterprise. If there was one thing I learned at a recent work group of this national committee working committee that I went to out in Oakland, California, is that there are a tremendous amount of barriers for people who are formerly incarcerated. And social enterprise and entrepreneurship could potentially be a really valuable pathway for individuals. And so that's something that I know the study, there's a study being produced by Policy Matters around career pathways, but that's a smattering of some other sources of jobs, I should say.
Great.
I hope I answered.
Excellent. Okay. So, Carl, the IBEW has a table here, so you have to get this right. But how does the training through a community college differ from what you offer through an apprenticeship? And some of the other people at different tables might not be as familiar with an apprenticeship. So let's just assume people know nothing. What is an apprenticeship?
Well, an apprenticeship program, we've had one here in Local 38 for quite a long time. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for a young person to gain a skill set, to gain the skills that they need to maintain employability, to feed their family. Our union, for quite a while, we were formed in 1891, and we've been helping Americans through our training programs achieve the ability to earn a wage and feed their family. There's a great deal of pride that comes out of having cuts on your hands and calluses on yourself and going home with a sore back at the end of the day. And that's where labor's played a big part in forming this, not only this country, but this city too. The difference that I see from the community college standpoint, because I do both, I wear a lot of hats, and I have a day job, which is as the lead instructor at our apprenticeship program for Local 38. I have a night job with Mariner Energy Systems. But I also have a family to take care of too. And I have to thank them for allowing me the time to do all these things. But what we see from the community college standpoint is a lot of people who have been displaced from their job opportunity. And they're looking for something new, which is not all that much different from the young people we see coming into our apprenticeship program. Giving them the ability to go out into the economy and earn a wage and feed their family. There's a great deal of pride that comes from being able to do that. And our Contractors Association has been very in tune with our training programs. Tri-C Community College, we're affiliated with through our apprenticeship program. All of our apprentices receive college credit in a degree program from Tri-C University. It's just worked out. It's just been a great partnership. I think the one word, if I could put one word on green jobs in this area, it's the word hope. It's hope that through these green jobs, through the investment of financial resources, and honestly, you know, we just put the work in. These people are doing all the legwork. They're getting policy put in place. They're getting legislation put in place. You know, we pick up wire and we pick up conduit and we put it up in the ceiling, we make it work. That's what we do in labor. So I shouldn't get as much credit as these people do because they're really doing all the legwork for us. But the opportunity that we give to people to feed their family, to improve their standing in society, it's a foundational principle of our organization to have an ever-increasing standard of living. That's what our union does. And we've been doing that for a long, long time.
Great.
Thank you.
So Carl mentioned policy, and you know, as we move toward this kind of green nirvana where every home is weatherized and where we're producing renewable energy and paying people well to do it and manufacturing that domestically, you know, if you were Obama, or if you were talking to Obama, if you were Strickland or you were talking to Strickland, Dave, starting with you, what would be your closing recommendations for how we should move policy in the direction that would allow this economy to emerge more?
Well, I think Governor Strickland has really moved us in the right direction in Ohio. We now have an energy efficiency and a renewable energy standards in this state. We're ahead of many states in the country on this issue. That creates the environment to create these jobs. Now the challenge will be to ensure that the utilities actually make commitments to this type of investment. And I will tell you as a consumer that going forward, the kilowatt hour that you save costs about 1.2 cents. The kilowatt hour that would be produced from a new clean coal plant would be about 8 to 9 cents. Now that coal plant will cost us about $2.4 billion and will produce 90 jobs long term. Lots of construction jobs, but 90 long-term jobs. The equivalent in our program is about 10 jobs per $1 million. We employ 650 people directly around the state, and hundreds of contractors work for us. So we're very, very employment intensive, yet at the same time, we are more cost effective for consumers. So I think this is the direction that President Obama needs to lead us. We believe this is a no-regret strategy to achieve environmental outcomes, produce significant numbers of jobs, and do it at a lower cost than conventional generation. Just strikes me as a path we should go down.
Yeah, and I know the audience wants to get to their questions in a minute, but you know, the one thing that you didn't mention is that it's also contributing less to global warming. So it's it would be worth it even if it were equally expensive. Courtney, did you have some closing thoughts about recommendations?
I do. I've mentioned this Green for All group that I'm a part of, and I wanted to share with you that one of the most enlightening things was the fact that I realized that the governmental entity that is the Department of Labor is actually a pretty receptive organization. And the group came together and presented some recommendations for guidance provisions that are coming out for the $500 million in funding for green worker training. And the RFP should be coming out towards the end of May. And we all had an opportunity to consider what was being formulated at the time, and I wanted to just share a couple of things that were recommended by this work group, again, many of whom are doing similar programs to Tri-C. One is that the definition of the eligible industries was actually very limited. It was very specific to renewable energy generation, and we've encouraged them to expand it beyond that to solar thermal, geothermal, environmental remediation, and waste minimization. Again, just wanting to make sure that we're not missing an opportunity to stimulate the industries where there are potential jobs.